First week of summer school is over. You guys survived, all of those of you who are teaching already. Congratulations on ending the first week. It was a short week, so you're not fully on board. But thank you for joining us today. We'll wait to make the announcement about, I can make it now and then again later, but we will be changing the schedule for the Zooms. Not the time or day, but frequency. So rather than have Wednesday and Friday, we will only have Wednesday Zooms starting next week. Same time though, same Zoom link will be operable. So I don't have a whole lot of anything definitive to share with you. We've only had one chancellor's meeting since I spoke with you guys on Wednesday. Our meeting today was canceled because of a CDC webinar that took place. Actually, some of it was very helpful, and most of the information that we got from CDC today was also on their website. So if you're a frequenter of the CDC website, there's a section specifically for institutions of higher education, and it's called Considerations. And it talks about considerations for social distancing and cleaning and a whole bunch of stuff. And so that's just what they shared today. So if you have some time, you can take a look at that website. And it will be a resource for all of the campuses as well as our campus as we work through our guidelines for reopening and bringing folks back. There's still a lot of conversations and not so much definitive about our plans for reopening. So I've told you before, there are working groups at the UH system level that are looking at guidelines on multiple different fronts, including one by the Office for the General Counsel, the attorneys for the university looking at policies that are related to COVID-19. We're still waiting for any kind of information from those working groups. I don't know what their timeline is for completing their tasks. I imagine that they're working as best as they can to get everything ready. What we know from the governor is that, you know, June 30th, that's the next big deadline for him. Although he is ratcheting back some constraints. I got an email today from, this is nothing to do with the university, but only with what is the realities from the place where I get my hair cut, telling me that they were very excited that they were going to be able to open and had 2 screenfuls of protocol is what we're going to have to do if we want to have an appointment, which is you're going to have to stay outside, you're going to have to get temperature check, you're going to have to sanitize, they'll sanitize between appointments, and there's this whole list of protocols. So that is what folks are going to be having to deal with across the board. So we are looking at the CDC considerations. Our planning groups are also going to be aligning with materials that come out of the UH Community College office. And
do you think this is ongoing, or you think she really just resigned?
And somebody's mic, Sherry Sousa. Oh, all of a sudden muted. Thanks, Sherry. It happens. Mostly it happens that you're muted and you don't remember and you're talking and people are going. So that's the usual thing. So yeah, I have no definitive anything. We're still trying to talk about the same things we've been talking about for the last, I don't know how many times. So I think for now, that's it for me, unless there are questions from folks already about anything that might be system level kind of stuff. Feel free. Oh, sorry, dropped my pen. And I didn't have my chat on, so I didn't see. Okay. Dave Stevens says, okay, reopening steps from the mayors. And Jamie puts the university considerations up there in the URL. Thank you. Yeah, visitor quarantine is past June 30, so lots of people whose family members were coming in won't have that option, except if they want to stay in with their family members for 2 weeks when they get here. Face-to-face classroom size, Dave, are you asking or saying? Dave Stevens, asking. I believe that the deans and Maria and others have done walkthroughs on the classrooms. They've looked at the square footage that was done and have already put numbers on rooms, and Maria has shared that with the department chairs. Maria, can you update?
Yeah, I sent it all to the department chairs. And yesterday I sent a revised list because there were some mistakes on the original one, but the department chairs should have it by now.
Okay, and Laurie's saying that she's already posted the document.
Mm.
What do we do with students with classes that have already too many students for the room? This is where your hybrid inventiveness comes into play because you will not be able to accommodate physically those students in your class. You will need to figure out how to manage the physical presence of the students in your room through some kind of hybrid technology support. Travel bubble with Japan. I don't know what a travel bubble is. Okay, Sheldon's also got to take care of our early college students, correct? Can we implement that or are we still waiting? You need to plan for that. And if that means how you'll do hybrid, you will plan for that. You will tell your department chair what your accommodation will be, and that will be implemented in Banner at the same time as all the others. Maria, can you come and let us know if that is the plan, or am I just making stuff up?
No, you are not. Once we have the schedule or decisions from the faculty, then things are going to be changed in Banner because now the codes are going to be different. If it was originally face-to-face, it might be www or HTI or DCO. I mean, whatever choice you made would be the code that is going to be inputted in Banner. And even the comments part is also going to change so that the students will have a better idea of what the class is, you know, or how it's going to be offered for the semester. And I think that will that should happen, you know, like about June 30, around that time. So after that, you can tell the students check on your classes and see what has changed.
Okay. So it's most important for the faculty to have that conversation with their department chair so that we can note, or the department chair can note what it is you want to do with your class. And then that will be transmitted to the folks who need to make the changes Banner.
Louise, there's a
sorry, Susan. Sorry,
okay.
Go ahead.
That's right. Okay.
Go ahead, Susan.
Okay. There's talk about a possible system-wide stoppage of registration.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right now. It looks for maybe mid-June so that we can possibly, everybody except UH Manoa can get all the changes made before the 30th of June. But that's still crossing our fingers.
Yeah, there will have to be a suspension of registration so that all the swaps get made at the same time, and then the world starts over again after that. And students will be told once all of that is in place after the Banner changes have been made. I don't know who is going to be telling the students about anything, or Maria.
There's going to be an announcement coming from the AL to the students. to check on the classes to
Okay.
see if anything has changed.
I'm sorry, no, yeah, go ahead.
As things become more formalized, that's when the communication is going to take place. It's just too many things are moving right now, so we're going to wait for things to actually be more set, and then there'll be a system. I believe there could be a system communication as well as an individual campus.
Okay. Other questions? Tony is confused. If the class enrollment already exceeds the available space and the faculty member wants to continue with face-to-face components, then the faculty member needs to consider hybrid approaches to the class. Other questions?
Hi, Louise. This is Deneen. I have a question. If a DSSO student prefers to be in a face-to-face class, because I know, they're all going to be just changed by the system, is there going to be some kind of process, or are we going to just do it like an accommodation request?
I think we'd have to do it as an accommodation request, Deneen, and the sooner faculty could know what a student accommodation needs are, because if the class has gone if the class has gone online, we'll have to find some way for the student to find an accommodation. If it's a preference for the student, that's a very different thing. If it's a need, I don't know that there's a need for face-to-face. Is there such an accommodation that a class must be face-to-face for a student? I don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, their learning style, whatever their challenges might be, they want to be face to face, but under COVID, no one had a choice, so everyone had to go that way. So, we had to go that way. But I'm just wondering now that, if we're having some component of a face to face,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll know more when the faculty have completed their review. We will know more what the proportions are of classes. In my mind, what I see happening is there will be a larger component of online or remote classes than we normally would have in a fall semester. And there will be a smaller proportion of classes that need to be face-to-face. And there'll be a bigger chunk in the middle that will be some combination of face-to-face and remote. And I'm not sure what the spread's going to be. I don't know if anybody is. Maybe the department chairs have a better sense of their own department, what that spectrum is going to be. Then I think we'll know better, and we will need to consider DSSO accommodations. But again, a want and a need are different things. And I think we will need to be cognizant of that. I'm looking at the chat. What our department calculations did not match. Okay.
I just responded.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So just to be clear on the spreadsheet, assuming we're talking about the same spreadsheet, it was just simple math, 36, which stands for 36 square foot per person, divided into the usable square footage. So what may differ is the usable square footage, because that might be off by, I don't know, as much as maybe 50 square feet. Because that can be subjective in some of these rooms, but it was pretty simple. So that's all it is. And please keep in mind, this is just a guide. Ultimately, the teachers and the DCs, along with potentially the deans, should be reviewing this space to make sure that it makes sense to put X number of people in a specific location.
Right. Amy also provided some of the considerations where the numbers might not match. Guy Kellogg says, why can't we just open up more class sections to accommodate the students who do not physically fit in the room? Number one, we don't necessarily have that many more rooms. If you're going to have a class of 35 and divide it into 3, you won't have 2 other classrooms available at the same time necessarily, or at other times. Plus the fact that we don't have the resources to pay for 3 times as many as many teachers to teach the classes. So we need to be judicious about multiplying at will all the different sections. It's just not going to happen that way. We don't have the resources, not physical and not fiscal or financial, sorry.
Louise, there's
Yes,
also,
Susan.
there's also a possibility, one of the many choices for hybrid, to have a certain number of students face-to-face in a particular CRN, and then other students in the same class in other CRNs. So that way you could accommodate more than what the classroom holds. Some would be in person and some would be, but then they have to work out who gets to select to be face-to-face versus online. Yeah. So there's more discussion needed.
Maria?
That has been shared with the department chairs, and so the faculty should know about that at this time.
Right. There are also options to rotate students who might come to a class. So a certain portion of the class might come on one day and a certain portion of the class might come another day, and then have support online for the students. Dale, Oda, hi Dr. Oda. 144 square feet for each student. I think the easiest thing to do is to walk through a classroom and look at where the seats are and make sure that between and among all the students, there's 6 feet.
Yeah, you'd have to map it out, Louise.
Yep.
And by the way, you know, if you got somebody sitting against the wall or something like that, well, of course, it's going to change the numbers.
Exactly.
Circular space, because if 6 foot radius around, there would be a circle, not a square. I mean, there's many, many ways to dice this up. But.
Yep. That's why it's important to look at how the room is configured. Exactly.
And not only that, when we were doing the walkthrough, all the classrooms are different with regard to the tables that they have, if they had individual desks per student, if it was a fixed, for instance, in some of our science labs, the counters and spaces are fixed, they're not movable. In some cases, they have, you know, seats that we could move around in the room. So it is not a one size fits all. So that's why we did the physical walkthrough, because all those variables in some rooms have irregular shape, and you can still see the board if you move them off to the side. And so that's why we did the walkthrough. And I think that really is a much more accurate number.
Agreed. Okay, let's just try a few administrators, a few members of the ELT to see if they have updates. Maria, anything else you'd like to share?
I just want to thank the department chairs and the faculty for working together and trying to get this done as soon as possible. I gave you such a short timeline to finish this, hoping that we can have, or we can let our students know sooner rather than later what they are going to do come the fall semester. So thank you so much. I think that's all I have.
We still don't have anything about the tenure and promotion and contract renewal, right?
No. They said that, I don't know, it's been going back and forth. I mean, legal counsel, the statements and things like that, they're still fixing it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Maria.
Thank
Noelle, anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, just a quick update. I know on Wednesday I talked about the number of grades that switch to credit, no credit. There's another conversation going on with the registers. We just had it yesterday that will be taking place at the system level regarding students who did not choose that credit nor credit option and instead got a D or F. If we are going to be lenient with those students to then go ahead and make them have a second chance. It causes a lot of issues, not only now, but down the line, because of course students could, they could realistically appeal this next year when things are better, or maybe they forgot. So we don't have an answer for that for now. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know what the discussions are of when this whole credit, no credit option occurred for our students. So there's going to be a lot of things now that we got to think about of how we make these decisions moving forward. Once we get a better understanding from the system level, I'll go ahead and give you guys an update. For now, I think those students who did receive an A or B and instead opted for credit or no credit, because that number is less than 60 students, we might just be doing a campaign to those individual students to see if they want to switch back to the grade, because that's a little bit more manageable. I think the other D's and F's are closer to 500 to 600 cases, so not something that we can do manually in such an easy process. The other thing that kind of came up in another student affairs meeting that might be on the minds of a lot of people, especially when we start to come back and a lot of unknown is in place, I was reminded that really the DOE and their schedule is really unknown, and that not only affects our own employees because of childcare issues and whatnot and having them at home, but also will affect our students who are also student parents. So that one is just a reminder that there's a lot of things even outside of the college that once those decisions are made will highly impact how we do things. I don't really have answers, but as things like this come along where there are things that will impact either our students or employees, let me know for the Student Affairs CCC. That way we can kind of take these things into consideration, because I think there's so many things moving and I try to move in a certain direction, and then I'm reminded that outside of the college life, things like a DOE schedule highly impacts whether you can come into work, even telework from home, especially between the hours of 10 to 12 when your kids might have to be doing something on work. So just kind of wanted to point that out. It's just more questions for now and just reminders of how to get through this. But that's all I have for now.
I have a question, Noel. Is it going to be made public to the departments as to which classes students elected to do credit, no credit? I don't expect that we'll have a list of student names and grades, but if there was a listing, are we thinking of providing that information, which classes and how many students change grades in that class?
That one, I gotta ask Jerry if
Okay.
that data was being pulled by the system. I know I have the individual student names and their grades, but I don't have their courses.
Yeah.
But I believe it exists somewhere, so we can check on that.
Okay, might be of interest to folks to know that. There's a question from Pat Gilbert about the date when we will do an enrollment census and then eliminate sections that do not make the cut. I believe that's been answered before, 2 weeks prior to the start of semester. Am I right, Maria? Sorry, Maria.
Yes.
Keep calling you.
Yeah, I just was muted.
Okay, so departments are going to be monitoring over the course of the summer, and 2 weeks before classes begin, which is August, that will be August 7, I guess, somewhere around there, cancellations will be finalized.
Yeah, that's right.
And will lecturer contract offers come after that date? Well, there will likely be adjustments to lecturers if classes are canceled. I'm guessing that's true. Okay, Brian has no updates. Lisa has no updates. Carol and Joanne have no updates. Nava'a is open for questions. Questions for Nava'a. Or anybody else, actually. Update on next steps. See, that's Sheldon asking you.
Sheldon. No, so we just scheduled sessions that are starting on June 8th and running to July 2nd last night, and they're starting to enroll students in this morning. And we haven't yet worked on the next step, for meaning on summer school too yet, but we're getting there. So then next one we're going to start enrolling. Oh, actually we started enrolling some students in the June 22nd to July 2nd, that 2-week time frame. We haven't yet started on summer 2. But did you have a specific question, Xiaoden?
No, just curious about the fill rate. Like, is it filling up?
It is. So I think it was maybe about 4 days ago that they noticed that there was a lot of students interested in health sciences. So, and they had about 400 that wanted to take some kind of career exploration course that supported students who were interested in health science. So the health science faculty and Lisa, the Dean of Health Science, and Sheila, yeah, we just pounded the pavement and got something running and up where students can start enrolling in those sections. Good.
And there is no place where we can look and see fill rates, right? It's all special hidden sections.
Yeah, so in terms of, in the event you have banner access, yeah, you would be able to see fill rates, but that wouldn't be until the system folks enroll them into the course. So they're actually keeping a Google sheet of the students who want the section, and then that section fills, and then they go to the next section. So they ask us for priorities of which courses should fill first, and then second and third. They fill the courses, and once those are set, then they enroll them all into the courses the next day. But in terms of going to a place to see how it's doing, not really.
And the faculty are going to get paid, right, for this at some point?
Well, we thought that aloha is spelled, yeah, they will. They will. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're paying $2,000 per credit. But of course, we're still going by your rank, what lecture step, you know, if you're A, B, or C lecturer. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping a total of, if we're teaching cumulatively 100 credits, that means we're getting $200,000. And the people who are scheduled have been slated to teach. You know, some are lecture step A, we have an instructor, we have a full professor. So I'm just making sure that, you know, when we have a lecture step A, that kind of evens out maybe somebody who's an associate professor. So I'm just kind of keeping the budget as well at the same time. But yeah, you folks will get paid. Yay!
Jerry says, do not, this is capital letters. Jerry doesn't usually capital letters very often. Do not use the following summer 2020 pot codes because they're for next steps. Okay, so department chairs and those who schedule your classes, don't use those. No 6G7, 6H7, off limits.
Right. So those specific pot codes, just because the system asked that the students be able to withdraw at the last day of class. So our regular credit courses that we hold for summer school, I think usually the withdrawal date is within the first week of class. But the next step courses, they're allowing students to withdraw to the last day of instruction.
Right. Other questions for anyone? Liability for nothing has come out of OGC about liability I raised the question again this morning in an email to Eric. I'm not a lawyer. I see lawyers on the screen, at least one. I don't know that you could trace any liability back to a person in a classroom. And in the event that that were possible, that the DNA was traceable to a particular individual, you would not be personally liable because you would be performing your work as in your sphere of operation. So there would be no personal liability. If you're doing your job and something happens, somebody files a complaint, you're covered. So I don't think you guys need to worry about being personally liable if somebody in your class gets the virus. I'm looking at Susan J. And I'm going to make her responsible for answering that question. I'm kidding, Susan.
Okay, but I just will say you can't act recklessly because you're expected to act responsibly. So if you crammed 30 students in a classroom where it's previously been determined you can really only fit 15, that's on you. So follow the rules, people.
Thank you, Susan.
No problem.
I just, let me reiterate, I mean, and I'm basically, I totally agree with Susan. It's negligence. Government is liable when we are negligent. So like Susan's example was, if we went through multiple times, we cut the pie in a circle, we cut the pie in a triangle, cut the pie in a square, and we said 12 students or 12 people can fit in here, and we decide to have a meeting with 25 or 30, which is its normal capacity, then we're negligent. And that's when we will get in trouble. Will you get in trouble? If we came in and said, Susan, make sure you only got 12, and you decided to totally not listen to us, I don't know, you might want to call UPA at that time. But I'm pretty sure if you follow the rules, you logical about things, no one's going to be negligent here. Let's just do the smart thing and we'll be fine, guys.
Thumbs up, Brian.
We have a duty to, Dave Evans, when did you get all legalistic? Oh, this is from your hotel days. A consideration of foreseeability. What the hell is that?
It's an element of negligence.
Yeah, in other words, well, first of all, the standard of providing reasonable care is a very ambiguous one, and it's what a reasonable person would do under reasonable circumstances. So if you're talking about the issue of liability, if
Bless you, whoever's sneezing.
sue us, if somebody decides to sue us and they can prove that we did not do the things that we should have or could have done, then that's when we're liable. And also the issue of foreseeability is, could we have foreseen this to have taken place, based either on precedent or just our own common sense? Yes, the world of hotel law.
Thank you. Oh.
And higher ed law too, by the way. Don't forget there's those courses for those of us that enjoyed the higher ed.
Your PhD.
Mm.
Yeah. Any other questions? I see pets and pictures over here.
Louise?
Yes, sorry.
Hi. I know we talked about it and Maria's been super, but I'm getting a lot of private chat. So I just want to make sure, because option 5 sounds really awesome. And it seems like we could just have one class on one day and the rest of the semester do online, and we can still call it hybrid. So I just wanted to make sure that we're good with that, because we're probably going to use that. It's really flexible. It helps all learning styles. And we can then meet in smaller groups if we have to, but I just wasn't sure. I just need to make sure that the people who are in the business, legal, and technology department feel super confident. Because even if I say yes, they keep on saying, are you sure? So please say yes. And then I think we can move forward with our planning that one class face-to-face and everything else is online, that would still be hybrid. Thanks, Louise.
I'll answer. Yes.
Okay.
That was exactly
for the record, it's a go. Thanks so much, Maria. You've been awesome.
That was exactly the reason why number 5 was, talked about, why we had that discussion for number 5.
Can I chime in on this one?
Oh, Sean.
So there's a lot of ambiguity with regards to hybrid in terms of international students in CVIS. Specifically, CVIS doesn't have really detailed guidelines about a hybrid course. They really define it in light of in-person or online. And the words that they actually use, I'll read a little bit of it here. It says, an online or distance learning course for the purpose of international student regulations means a course that is primarily offered through technology and does not require the student's physical attendance for classes, examinations, or other purposes integral to completion of the class. Only one online or distance learning class can count toward a full course of study for an F1 student during each term or semester. No online or distance learning classes may count towards an M1 or ESL student's full course of study requirement. This gets really tricky because it says primarily taught online. So there's no, it doesn't say if you meet 2 times a week as a hybrid, it's acceptable versus once a semester. The spirit of the regulation is it primarily online or is it not? So for the purpose of, for CVIS regulations, we're running the risk, I should say, there's definitely a concern for us if we identify the course as a hybrid course, and then we have a whole bunch of practical applications to that definition on the campus. Meaning some faculty may choose to meet once a week, some may choose to meet twice a semester. But once again, the guideline kind of is really is unclear. I mean, it's clear in the sense that it said if it's predominantly or primarily online, that would be considered an online course, regardless, because there's no term hybrid used.
That's right. For obvious reasons, because it means so many things.
It can mean so many things. And so as we kind of have this discussion and move forward, and I saw that email from you, Dave. So I sent over the response that I just shared with you to all of the chairs. I think you had everyone on there, the dean's list and chairs and so forth. So you'll see a little bit more information in there with regards to we have to walk gingerly, I guess, over this area, and the discussion that needs to happen is happening at the right time. It does need to happen now, so that we can clarify this and how we want to move forward. I do think it would be in the best interest of having one consistent definition, and for CVIS purposes at least, and trying to follow that as much as possible. Now, keep in mind that we did submit our request for exemption, and the request basically would remove this problem as long as it goes through okay. It doesn't matter if it's hybrid, taught in person or online. And the way that I drafted that was basically off of another CVIS regulation, says that the student must be making normal academic progress. And so I'm trying to leverage our position in terms of that to say that we are requesting we're requesting this exemption, this extension of exemption, because students will not be able to make normal academic progress if in fact we limit them to only in-person or quote unquote hybrid / in-person classes.
So now that is more confusing.
Well, I think there's a difference, Maria, because for regular kind students, you could call it hybrid and have one meeting, but CVIS is not regular kind students, so their definitions don't include hybrid, so it's different.
Yeah, but the VA accepts that.
Yeah, again, different agencies, different definitions.
Yeah, and Maria, that was the nature, because yeah, the number 5, you refer to VA, and it was just, I was really trying to get clarification on international. So thank you, Sean. But yeah, this is what obviously has captured a lot of our attention for obvious reasons. Yes. So if we could get that cleared up,
yeah, it would.
Especially Maria, if you're looking for something from us from the 4th of June. If we could get something by Monday or Tuesday. So, because I think this would be something that obviously is going to be a solution for many of the faculty.
but I do not know what the international definition is. You know, like system-wide, we consider that as a hybrid class.
Yes, and that's fine. But CVIS does not define hybrid. CVIS defines face-to-face and online. That's it.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as hybrid.
So they cannot do a hybrid class at all?
No, they can take hybrid courses, but I think the historical precedent is if the students are meeting, once a week or twice a week or whatnot in person, and the key is not only in person in the sense that the student is just not logging in, synchronously and having and being online, but the way that CVIS defines it is in person on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
So when if it's not the student is not on the campus, then they ask for, how are we monitoring that student, and that's basically what we did for the first two exemptions and this one that we're coming that we put together. But it's really tricky. But on the other hand, we're not the only institution that has this challenge, so we're trying to find and learn from other institutions and what's happening. But really there's really no hybrid. The term, the words they literally have to use is primarily online or not. And that's so ambiguous. Like, do you actually go there and count the number of times the student comes in relation to when the classes are conducted? I think there's some level of flexibility there, but as an institutional policy, we may want to consider having one definition. I know that might be difficult, but for that purpose, it would be easier to make that justification to CVIS based off of a single definition as opposed to numerous ones.
Okay, there's a bunch of questions for you. Hold on, Sean. Do we know the timeline on a response from CVIS on our request for exemption?
That's a great question. We haven't heard a response from our initial request for exemption, which was submitted on the first day back from spring break. Yes, and then since then we've submitted a second one to extend to the end of summer, of which we haven't heard back yet either. We've submitted the third one, which is now requesting extending into the fall. I know that they're very busy. And I think the most important thing is to put a good, faith effort forward, submit the information as we can. I asked Takashi to chime in on this earlier on an email with Chancellor, and he provided additional context, which basically points us back in the direction of, the likelihood of them asking for a list is high. It hasn't happened yet, but they would probably gonna come back at some point and ask us for a list of classes that we are asking for quote unquote exemption from. So right now that's kind of up in the air. I thought it's more important to get the letter in requesting full exemption. And once they come back, since they haven't come back the first two times yet, I think they've just been busy. Once they come back and ask for that, we will not have to submit multiple addendums and so forth. So we'll try to clean that up as much as we can. Once they ask us, then we'll submit the most recent version, and hopefully we can rely on that as being most accurate at that time.
Hi, this is Chancellor. Yeah, this is Eugene at the Honda International Center, and I got response back from the CVIS. So they said they forwarded the request to the school certification unit, and they also mentioned that please note that you'll receive an additional notice only if there is an issue with your operations plan. So I think that's probably why we didn't get first and second request like notification, if anything was wrong or anything. So we were able to operate as we requested. And as I mentioned to you, Chancellor, yesterday, we still have to wait on the CVIS guideline until they decide. Until then, I don't think they're gonna respond to us in the email, the request that we submitted. So until the CVIS, the guideline comes, we just kind of have to wait.
Yeah, but I think it should also be pointed out, Eugene, that the first time when they put these guidelines together, when things were happening so quickly, when we wrote this up, the guideline actually says, even for spring, that we were supposed to submit all of the the courses that will be taught online and so forth. So they are clearly in new waters themselves, and this is happening nationwide. So they're allowing a lot of flexibility here. That's why I think it's so good for us, important for us to just ask for the exemption all the way through to fall. That would be in the best interest for the students, as well as our faculty, as well, as our college. So keep us posted on that, Eugene.
Sure.
So there are other bunch of questions. Are you guys in touch with other institutions? Are other institutions doing the same thing?
So within the UH system, well, our colleagues at Manoa are really the ones that we lean on. I know Joe is a part of a couple of these committees, and Sai is also online here too, is also part of a couple of these committees. But what happens in these situations too is we do speak and we do keep in touch, but everybody's looking at our campus because we have the largest number of undergraduate international students in the whole system. And even though we reach out to, Manoa and so forth, we do, but we sometimes we end up, agreeing on things, and a lot of times we have 10 different policies. But in many instances, there are not many international students at the majority of CC campuses, so they're not looking at this with any great concern. They're just requiring those international students to adapt to what's being required, and they're accommodating for them in a different way. But I think that our international student population is so large and it impacts us in so many different ways. It does require that we try to be ahead of this as much as possible. There are other resources that we're looking at outside of the UH system. There's a regional rep, which Eugene mentioned, that we're in contact with. But she's also in the same position of trying to find out this. This is new for CVIS. This is totally new for CVIS. So I think what usually happens is the CVIS regs, unfortunately, like anything else, the regulations are the last thing to change. It's the necessity that drives it. And then on the tail end, eventually it changes. And we find ourselves, all of us across the US, in uncertain waters because there's no regs regarding hybrid. So CVIS is trying to be flexible, but the regs are clear. Yeah.
Right.
It's just outdated. Yeah.
So while I talk, Sean, if you could cut and paste that statement that you just read earlier, the whole statement, and if you could cut and paste it into here, I think there's some questions about you to repeat that. There are also a couple of suggestions from different people that says, why don't we get CVIS to make up a definition of hybrid? I don't think that's a reasonable request, since CVIS is a huge government, a federal agency. I don't think we're going to tell them, you guys better create a definition when they're quite happy with their policy. But a policy may have to change, and that will be their kuleana to do, since so many institutions, especially West Coast, where a lot of students go, are in the same place. So they can't ignore the situation. They cannot ignore the online option for very long. But they aren't the only ones that are constraining online learning. If I remember, at least the ABA used to be very constraining about how many online classes the legal students could take, right? Susan, still yet?
Yep. No, they actually finally changed it last fall. So it's better for us. But yes, it takes these institutions a tremendous amount of time to change, and the federal government is the slowest of all.
Right.
Can I make a comment about what Sean said? I was at a meeting yesterday with Don Straney and the people from Manoa and Hilo, and I made a comment to them. I said, well, we have put in a request for an exemption to CVIS. And it's like, huh? You did what? They were just sitting around waiting for CVIS to issue something. And they had not, any of them at any of the schools, made any request for an exemption for CVIS for this. So I thought it was quite interesting that KCC was so far ahead of what even Manoa is doing.
Okay, Sean's having a hard time cutting and pasting, so we can make sure we can send it out to the department chairs and they can share it with the faculty and send it to the CAC list, and then everybody will have it, Sean. CAC-open-L. Other questions? Okay, I will remind folks that we are changing the schedule for these campus Zooms. We will only do them once a week since much of the time it's the same information that keeps going around in circles. It will be Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. If something that you guys need to know happens on a Tuesday or a Thursday, we'll be sure to let you guys know. We're not going to hold on to it for all of that time. But campus-wide conversations will continue on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. And I have also been getting requests for comments from folks in emails and stuff about, can we keep doing this in the fall? And for sure, absolutely. It's a great way for people to be connecting. So we will absolutely continue Zooms in some form or other. I don't know about every week, once we're up and running, but certainly on a regular basis, we will have these opportunities. Virtual convocation. Yeah, well, we're not going to be able to have a whole lot of people in the same place, Hal. You're absolutely right. And it's going to be very sad because I really love fall convocation when we see each other again for the first time after months and months. But yeah, probably we won't be able to do unless they lift it and we're all 6 feet apart with masks. So yeah, a Zoom hat day, absolutely. I thought we would do a Zoom pet day too at some point. Just have your favorite pet picture and we would make a calendar. I'm still thinking about that. We'd have a calendar, we would do a contest, you'd have to pick 12, your favorite. Look, Dave's already planning, I can see that. And all of us with pets would take, and we would submit 2 pictures, our favorite pet pictures. Could be the same pet, could be different pets. We would pick 12 for a calendar. Anyway, I'm still thinking about that one. And quarantine couture, yes, we've seen that. Mask fashion, oh, that's a good one. Show off your mask, your favorite mask. I have. My sister-in-law made me one. She even sewed in the little metal thing. I don't know how she does that. Okay, what's Calvin saying? Stuffed animal, no, Calvin, not stuffed animal pets. You still have them. Calvin, show us. Come on. You have your pet with you, your stuffed animal pet. So much less worry to have a stuffed animal pet. They don't wake you up in the morning. No, not right now, Calvin. Okay. Okay. Anything else, you guys? Pet day with hats. Hats. Hats on pets. We're going to be like the Kia guy with a mask on his dog. You guys are cuckoo. All right.
This is my last promotional push for summer session 1, Top to Go, starting June 1, this coming Monday. This is for all faculty, whether you're planning to teach online, hybrid, face-to-face, whether you've been through TOP or not, you're going to learn something new. Certificate will be provided if you complete all assignments. There may be benefits to having a certificate. I encourage everyone sitting on the fence to just fall off and join Top to Go. Sign up with Jamie Sickle or Yojing Zhang. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie, how many folks do you have registered already? I know it's like hundreds.
Yeah, let me see we have 171 right now. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun though. Everybody's in there introducing themselves. We have people from all campuses, so it'll be fun. It's a party.
Okay, that's terrific. Congratulations on being so successful with getting folks. And I think if you have that many people, it's going to be fun because you're going to be connecting with people you wouldn't normally connect with. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. We have like 20 some people from a couple of the 4-year, a few people from Manoa, people from other UHCCs. So it'll be a good time. And we have 3 master chefs this go round. We have Kelly Nakamura and Nadine Wolf and Kavehi Sellers, and they're going to be doing some webinars too. So check out the news bulletin.
Great. And Shannon's working hard for returning adults. And right now, it's helping our fall enrollment. Every day is getting better. It's now only minus 20%. We started off minus 34% at the beginning, so we're at minus 20%, getting better every day. Summer session is also going up every day. We're at 10% over last summer today. So all indicators are going in the right directions. Anything else from anybody? We missed you, Dave, on Wednesday. Anything else you'd like to share? Oh, look, he's already put his pet pictures up. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, missed you guys too. I was going in for a little tune-up for the old body.
Okay. Hope it went well.
Yes, it did. Don't I look better? No?
And your knees, because you had your knees, right?
Oh, that was 4 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. Those are still humming along. Still got about 3 years to go.
Okay. Anybody else like to share anything? A COVID caring moment, perhaps? Something that you witnessed or something that you took part in that showed you cared during this time? Food pantry. I don't know if Lavashay's on. Lavashay, are you on? Will it continue through the summer? Does anybody know? I don't know. We'll find out. Pretty sure, Shannon says. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can scroll through the Brady Bunch stuff, but try to look at Stacy Oho. He's on my computer. He's on page 3. If you're a Star Wars person, I think you'd appreciate it. I think that's Star Wars. Yes, Stacy. Is that?
Yes.
Baby Yoda?
Yeah. That's my spirit animal.
Good thing he's being proper. COVID-19 Baby Yoda. Hollywood Squares, yes, yes, that too. Okay, all right. We got 2 minutes to go. Last chance for statements, announcements. What is that, Angela? Oh, thank you. You're so quick. Anyone else?
Are we, do we have a lot of questions on the food pantry? I know that Lavashay and Coco are the main manpower behind that, and that she and the students, hopefully in the fall, will start a crowdfunding campaign to raise money for that. But I know food insecurity is something that the UH system is getting behind. And so they're doing like an intramural type of grant process where all the campuses are applying to be pilot programs for this. And so there'll be some news coming up on that, but food insecurity is huge for our students, and it probably won't go away. And I hope that's helpful for all of us to know on this Happy Friday that we personally at KCC have raised, wow, in this short period of time, like over 5,000 from you all. And I'm not going to give away names and amounts, but thank you for everybody who has made donations online and who has come to help Lavashay and Coco pack up the goods. And I see them in action, rain or shine, they're there, and they're super busy. They're standing out there, and the students are coming up on foot, on bike, in cars. It's really important, and it's really a great thing that's happening. Thank you, everybody. Happy Friday.
Thank you, Lynn. 2 o'clock and all's well. Have a great weekend, everybody. Say goodbye. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Alfred, I heard you.
Excuse you.